Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm super excited. This is a Copaiba versus CBD redo. I'm just going to double check, though, that we are actually live and streaming on Facebook because yesterday we had some technical issues. Yay! Everything looks great. Okay, I'm so excited. Hi, happy Saturday and welcome. If you are new here to our little corner of the internet, my name is Kelly and I run the Wholesome Nomad brand. And I am super jazzed to be bringing you some monthly live virtual classes starting this month. I am a full-time RVer, so welcome to my home and to the bucket of paint behind me and the basket of laundry back there. This is real life for sure, but I'm really jazzed to get into this conversation with you, so thanks for spending your time with me. This class will stay up live here on my brand page until November 12th, after which time it will come down, but it will live forever up on my YouTube channel, which you can find and subscribe there at The Wholesome Nomad. So go over there and take that a look if you would like to see what else we've got going on. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see this presentation that we've got going on for you here today. Whoops, if I get on the right window. Awesome. All right, so today's conversation is all about talking about the difference between Copaiba and CBD oil. And the reason I wanted to bring this class to you and the reason why I think it's so important is because I feel like CBD is everywhere right now. We were actually up in northern Michigan not too long ago and they still had like a video store. And I was kind of floored because they had videos to rent and then also CBD oil on their sign, which was pretty crazy. And, you know, being in the holistic healthcare space and working with the people and in the industry that I do, I like to stay informed and stay up and coming on what's coming around the pike and what people are talking about and paying attention to. So I've been doing a lot of research actually on CBD. Those of you who are new here, I work with doTERRA essential oils. So that is my main focus here in my educational space, but we also talk about all the other things, health and wellness. And so I'm always open to the conversation. So this class is really just more of like a sciencey overlook in the differences between Copaiba essential oil from doTERRA and CBD essential oil. I do all my education when it comes to essential oils on Copaiba itself. And the reason for that is that's the company that I've chosen to partner with. So just kind of keep that in mind as you are listening to any of my tips and usages, that this just relates to doTERRA essential oils in and of themselves. But if you have questions about other companies or whatever, feel free to reach out. I'll help you if I can, or reach out to the person who connected you wherever you are, wherever you feel at home. So, you know, I had a lot of people asking me in preparation for this class if I'm selling CBD oil, or, you know, if this is like a knocking CBD oil class. None of that is happening here. No, I do not sell CBD oil. No, I have no intentions of selling CBD oil. Actually, don't think we're ever going to see doTERRA launch or sell a CBD oil, and I'll tell you why later on. But I just feel like it's a really important tool in a lot of people's toolkits. And so it's great to know the difference between the two in case you decide that you want to integrate this into your health and wellness routine. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to take a sip of my almond milk cacao. So yummy. It got really cold over here overnight, so it's nice and chilly. It's a perfect day for something warm. Okay, so we can't really dive into this conversation without first talking about what the heck a cannabinoid is. And, you know, I'll be completely honest with you. When I first heard the term cannabinoid, I just assumed it meant something to do with cannabis, right? Because it just made sense in my brain, and that's actually not the case. So I'm going to break that down for you. We're going to get a little sciencey for the first 5 or 10 minutes. So hang in there with me if science is not your jam, and then we'll get into more actionable applications and usage and tips and things like that in a little bit. So we're going to talk about what a cannabinoid is and why that's important. But in order to do that, we need to talk about the endocannabinoid system. So we all know that we have different systems in our body, right? We have our respiratory system, we have our lymphatic system, our endocrine system, our digestive system, right? But the research is coming out, and what's kind of been popular in science today is that they're identifying that there's this additional system called the endocannabinoid system. And its main function is to help bring the body back into balance. And it kind of governs all of the other body systems. So I like to think of the endocannabinoid system as an umbrella. So, well, the whole body really as an umbrella. And if you think about an umbrella, there's that fabric covering, right? And then all of the little spokes. So that fabric covering is going to be our endocannabinoid system. And all the little spokes underneath it are the other body systems that we have, you know, from your integumentary system, your skin, to your nervous system. All these other different systems are kind of not controlled, but they're they're nurtured and they're being supported by the fabric covering, by the outside part of our umbrella, the endocannabinoid system. So I hope that analogy makes sense for some of you. There's still a lot of research to be done on the endocannabinoid system. If you want to learn more about that, please go and Google. A Google search bar is your biggest resource. There's tons of stuff coming out about it, and it's fascinating if that's your thing. But that's all I'm going to say about it here today, because we could probably turn an entire class on just learning about what that system is, okay? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that that fabric covering our umbrella stays as healthy and as intact as possible so that the other systems are running well, right? We can't, an umbrella, even if all the spokes are still in it, is no use to you, and it's not functional at all if you don't have the fabric covering. It's going to keep you wet. It's a mess, right? You're going to poke people in the eye. It's no good. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to our endocannabinoid system. And one of the ways we can do that is by paying attention to the cannabinoids that we're putting into our body. So to define that, a cannabinoid is simply any chemical compound that affects one or both of your cannabinoid receptors, okay? So you have two of them in your body. You have CB1 and CB2. Those are both cannabinoid receptors, and those receptors are found all over the body, okay? You can find them in your connective tissues, in your nervous system, in your organs, your immune system, your brain. They're everywhere, okay? And different cannabinoids will impact either the CB1 or CB2 or both receptors in different ways. So it's important for us to know the difference between the two and how these different cannabinoids that we can take into our body or that we produce naturally are interacting with those receptors in order to help the endocannabinoid system as a whole to function correctly, okay? So cannabinoids themselves, those little chemical compounds that float around, bind to those receptors, CB1 or CB2, and that helps to really move along the communication between your neurons, which helps your body to achieve homeostasis. So cycle all the way back to like freshman year biology with me and remember learning about homeostasis of like ecosystems and plants and animals and things, right? The same thing is true in our body. Homeostasis is that sense of balance when everything is running correctly. You know, your digestive system is going smooth, your immune system is working properly, you're able to handle your emotional state, all systems go, right? So in order to really get to that place of balance, we need to have those cannabinoids that are helping our CB1 or CB2 receptors to talk to the neurons in our brain. And that helps to facilitate the production of all sorts of other sciencey things that happen in our body to help us achieve homeostasis. So that's really the most important thing for you to get out of this particular portion of the class is the only function of a cannabinoid that you need to worry about is that it sticks to those receptors. The receptors help your neurons talk to each other and talk to your body, okay? So we're gonna talk in a little bit more detail about what the different types of cannabinoids are and how they go about sticking to those receptors. Okay, I'm almost done with the sciencey part, I promise. Hang in there with me. So there are three main types of cannabinoids. The first one is probably one that you've already heard of, even if you didn't know that you knew this, right? It's called THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol. Say these words 5 times fast, y'all, right? So THC is the one that I always thought of. So when someone said the word cannabinoid, I assumed it had to do with like smoking marijuana, right? Or ingesting it or something like that. THC is actually, it's a naturally occurring compound, right? That lives in the cannabis or hemp plants, marijuana plants. It gives a psychoactive high when you smoke it or ingest it, or for some people when you put it on topically on the skin as well. The reason it does that is it actually mimics a cannabinoid that is naturally produced in our brain. And that naturally occurring cannabinoid is the one that governs things like our appetite, our mood, our sleep, and our memory function. So, personally, THC has never been a part of my life, but I have, zero attachment or judgment around it. If you're finding relief with it or even recreational, like it's 2019, let's get over it, right? But if you've ever experienced someone or you yourself has experienced THC, you might feel like you have the munchies, or you feel really sleepy, or maybe really giggly, or you have weird dreams, weird like little visions and things that might be happening. That's because the THC itself is mimicking that cannabinoid that already occurs in our brain that kind of helps all those functions in your brain happen, okay? So the thing with THC is that it is legal in a lot of states now for medicinal purposes, which is great, but not all of them. And there's even some wonky, weird regulation on the legality of THC in different areas. So like some states will say, yes, it's legal, but then if you work like for the government, or like my husband is an electrician, he has to take a drug test on every single job site, right? So even if we're in a state where THC and marijuana and all that is legal, he can't have any evidence of that in his body, or he won't be able to work on that job site, even in that state. So there's some legality issues around that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So they will appear in a drug test, of course. And THC has a direct interaction. So it's going to stick just like glue to that CB1 receptor. So that's important to know, is THC is going to bind itself right away to that CB1 receptor to be able to help your body achieve homeostasis. And that's kind of one of the main functions of that type of cannabinoid. The second type of cannabinoid is CBD, which is what this class is kind of all about as well. And it's called cannabidiol. That's just another type of cannabinoid. It is derived from the cannabis plant, right? And it has anywhere from a 2 to a 30% concentration rate. So that means that you could get a bottle of CBD oil that has 4% CBD concentration rate, or one that has 30%. It kind of has a very big variable swing of concentration. A lot of people find that the CBD provides them with relief from like physical pain and inflammation, relief from some of the symptoms or side effects of cancer and cancer treatments, even can support the body with different neurological issues. There's more research coming out about it now, but it's still kind of new in terms of, its acceptance, or the different clinical trials and things that have been done on it in the science world. Oftentimes, CBD does contain trace amounts of THC with psychoactives. And I think this is the main thing that is really important for people to understand about CBD itself, is that there is no regulation on it. And we'll talk about regulation here in a second. But because of that, you might get sold something that says, oh, it has 0 THC in it, I promise. Well, there's really no way to be sure of that unless you yourself are testing whatever it is, whatever CBD oil or cream or dog treat or whatever that you are purchasing. And so it's important to just be aware that that could appear on a drug test for you if that is a part of your life or a concern for you. In fact, there is a triathlete. I meant to provide her name and I'm blanking on it now. But anyhow, she runs a lot of Ironmans, Iron Girls. She is a huge athlete. She's got it in amazing shape, and she had a little ankle injury, and she was using a CBD cream topically and getting great results from it, which was awesome. But she was drug tested randomly, and they found that there was trace amounts of THC in her bloodstream because of the CBD cream. And so unfortunately, it's very upsetting. She was released from all of her sponsorships. And so she's no longer able to be an athlete in that way just yet anyway, until she regains some of her sponsorships and things, because they all let her go because she wasn't allowed to compete due to the fact that THC appeared on the drug test. So it's a little scary if that's of concern for you. Okay, and the third type of cannabinoid is BCP, which is beta-caryophyllene. That one's a fun one to say. So beta-caryophyllene is a dietary cannabinoid, and we find it in essential oils and plants. So we actually find it in Copaiba, of course, which is why we're talking about it today. In Copaiba essential oil, at least in doTERRA's, it has a 60% concentration rate. So when you compare that to CBD, you're getting a window of anywhere from 2 to 30%. With doTERRA's Copaiba essential oil, you're getting a 60% concentration of that cannabinoid, of BCP. And it affects a completely different cannabinoid than CBD does. Oh, I forgot to mention that. So CBD as a cannabinoid has an interaction with the CB2 receptor. So not the same one as THC, right? And it does not have a direct connection. It's got more of like an indirect maze, kind of a pathway to connect to that CB2 receptor. So back to beta-caryophyllene, which we find in Copaiba essential oil. It affects a completely different receptor than CBD. We also find beta-caryophyllene in Melissa and black pepper essential oils, which is really interesting too. So if you are an essential oil user, you can totally use both of those as well. But the concentration is going to be much higher in Copaiba itself. So maybe if you wanted to just really increase your beta-caryophyllene intake, you could make yourself some sort of a tincture or a balm using Copaiba, Melissa, and black pepper. That would be really warming and soothing to the joints as well, if that's something you're wanting to use topically or even take internally in a veggie cap. But you are getting 60% concentration of beta-caryophyllene in Copaiba essential oil. Its main function is to support the inflammatory response in our body. And I think a lot of times when people think of inflammation, they automatically assume pain. A lot of times inflammation comes from a lot of different other places. We can get inflammation from stress, which is a big one, and you don't even see it, right? It's kind of a hidden one. We can get inflammation from the foods we eat, sugars, dairy, alcohol, gluten, all of those can cause inflammation in the body. We can get inflammation from high experiences of high adrenaline, or absolutely from muscle tension or strain. Lack of sleep can also cause inflammation in the body. So there's a tons of different reasons why we might see an inflammatory response happen in the body. And it's actually kind of a good thing. If we didn't have an inflammatory response, then it would be really difficult for us to pay attention to our body and really tune in and ask it what's going on. So when we have that inflammatory response, we know that something is off, we're not in homeostasis, and we can utilize all these different tools to help our bodies bring ourselves back into balance so we can kind of soothe that inflammatory response when it does arise. What's really cool about beta-caryophyllene is it has a direct interaction with CB1 receptor. So you're kind of having the same sort of interaction with that receptor as you do with THC, but without any of the psychoactive effects. In fact, it comes from a completely different plant. So I get that question a lot. Does Copaiba come from the same plant as THC or CBD? The answer is no. Those come from the hemp plants, the cannabis plant, and Copaiba is its own separate plant. It comes from a tree, the Copaiba tree, and I'll talk a little bit more about doTERRA's unique chemistry in terms of their Copaiba here in just a little bit. All right, are you hanging with me? I hope so. All right, so here are some important considerations to think about when you are looking at the differences between Copaiba and CBD. Maybe you're watching this class and you know that you need something to help with your inflammation, and maybe you've heard buzzwords about both of these, but you're not quite sure which one to go with first. Or maybe you already have one and you want to learn more about the other. Whatever that looks like, here's some important considerations for you. I broke it down into 3 areas. So we're going to look at cost, legality, and purity. We've briefly touched a little bit on legality already, but we're going to go a little just slightly deeper. So for cost-wise, CBD, I was doing some research, and the average number that I found, I have my spreadsheet up. I think it was 40 different brands of CBD oil that I found. The average amount was $150 for a bottle, and that the size of the bottle varies, but it can be upwards of $150 a bottle, which is pretty pricey. There's also a lot of really limited science out there around the dosage for CBD. So for example, I did find one case study done on someone who used CBD for relief from psychotic episodes, and they experienced great results, which was awesome. At the same time, they had to take 1,000 milligrams of CBD in order to start to feel relief. So really high intense amounts of CBD are required in order for the endocannabinoid system to activate and really start to help soothe that inflammatory response. When you think about a milligram, okay, so 1 to 2 drops of essential oils is about 60 milligrams, okay? So that's gonna be quite a bit of CBD oil that you're going to need to be taking, and that $150 a bottle is gonna get pretty expensive pretty quickly. Copaiba, on the other hand, doTERRA's Copaiba is $35 for this bottle right here. There's 250 drops, which is going to last you quite a while, depending on how often and consistently you're using it. 1 to 3 drops is usually sufficient enough to activate the endocannabinoid system. So you're looking at anywhere from like 60 to 180 drops or 60 to 180 milligrams, excuse me, is sufficient enough for you to get going, versus CBD, you got to take 1,000 milligrams of that to really start to see relief, based on that study I found. Okay, so that's kind of a little bit of the overview there in looking at the cost differential. So again, if you're brand new and you have not, made the leap to Copaiba or CBD, and you're just trying to figure out which one you might want to start with, personally, and this is not me talking to you as like a doTERRA advocate or an essential oil advocate, this is just like what makes sense in my brain, is I would, if you don't know how either one is going to interact with your body, I would go with the cheaper option first. That just seems like it makes sense to me. But again, go where you feel led and where you feel called. So there's also kind of a legality consideration too to look at. So CBD, like I mentioned briefly before, there's like different statutes, both federally and per state, and they oftentimes conflict. So in some places, the federal law will mandate this and the state will say this, or like I mentioned with some job sites or some places of business, they might say absolutely no CBD or THC in your system, but then the state says, well, it's completely legal, you can buy it on the street corner. So there's a lot of conflicting opinions and information. It's just because it hasn't been around a lot yet. There's also, like I said, trace amounts of the THC can appear in a drug test. So that's kind of a legality issue as well. And it'll be interesting to see how that kind of shifts in the coming years as more information comes out about it. Copaiba, this is a little cheeky, but Copaiba is legal in all 50 states. It's just a plant, right? You could take it through customs with you. You can take it across the border. You don't have to worry about growing it or being like weirdly suspicious about it. It's just a plant that comes in a bottle, just like your frankincense or your lavender or your lemon or any of the other essential oils that you might already have in an implementation in your wellness routine. Okay, and the last consideration to think about is purity. So there is honestly no regulation really on CBD or essential oils or supplements. The holistic healthcare industry in our country in general is just really not highly regulated. More regulation is coming out because more research is coming out, which is really exciting and also limiting. But that just means that what we're doing and we're talking about it and more of us are using it and leaning toward more natural remedies is working. We're being heard, which I think is really exciting. So because CBD is so new, there's zero regulation whatsoever in the CBD industry, which means that that concentration of the cannabinoid is so super variable. It's even variable within the same company. So you might choose to start purchasing CBD oil from a company and you get one bottle in November that has a 30% concentration and another bottle in February that has a 4% concentration. And there's unfortunately no way for you to know as the consumer that there is any kind of difference in that bottle, which can be frustrating. There's also a lot of analytical challenges around CBD because it's so variable and inconsistent. It's really hard to study because they can't ensure necessarily the correct percent concentration of that cannabinoid. There was an article in the Journal of American Medicine that stated that 69% of CBD products in America today in 2017 were mislabeled, which can also be kind of frightening because we don't know what's in them, right? We just, as the consumers, are trusting whatever's on the label. And unfortunately, that's just simply not the case. It's also not the case with your essential oils either, right? So it's important to know that you really need to do your own research to feel empowered and feel comfortable and safe where you are. Copaiba, at least with doTERRA, the Copaiba essential oil undergoes a barrage of 54 different tests, some done in-house at doTERRA, some done by a third party. And the reason they are done, and there's such a wide variety of tests done on all of the essential oils, is because they want to make sure that the essential oils that consumers are purchasing that are going out to homes every single day all across the world, 8 million of us and growing, fit within the certified pure therapeutic grade standards. And I get a lot of questions on this. People are like, well, CPTG, certified pure therapeutic grade, is just something that doTERRA came up with. You're absolutely right. And here's why. We have already existing grades, and this is, from the FDA of different essential oils. So we have like perfume grade, which you're going to find in bath soaps and shampoos and cleaning products and things, right? We have food grade that you can actually ingest. Like you could purchase an almond extract, for example, is similar to an essential oil, not the same, but similar. So we have that food grade. We have massage grade or aromatherapy grade that people can use, in a massage or during a spa session or whatever, but there wasn't anything a little bit higher that could cover all of the bases. And so that's why when doTERRA came on the map, they decided they needed to kind of create their own grade, really, of essential oil testing for people to understand the difference. So with all of doTERRA essential oils, including Copaiba, yes, you can use them topically on your body like you could in an aromatherapy grade essential oil. Yes, you could take it internally like a food grade essential oil. You can use it aromatically. You can use it in all of the ways. And moreover, you can also use it on your dogs. My dogs get Copaiba every single day. Your babies, people who are elderly, people with a weakened immune system. There really is no group of people or animal that wouldn't be able to benefit from Copaiba in some way, shape, or form because it is so safe and secure, which is really, really cool. If you want more information about that, you can go to sourcetoyou.com. And actually, if you're already a doTERRA customer, you can actually type in the number on the bottom of your bottle into sourcetoyou.com, and it will come up with a whole list for you of the GCMS reports. You get to see exactly what's in that bottle of essential oil. This is my other big thing, and I will probably say this until I'm blue in the face, but that's okay. Know what's in your products. So if you are here, that tells me you already are like-minded in that you understand the need to start integrating more holistic options into your healthcare. I'm not saying that we can throw modern medicine out the window, right? Of course, but it's an integration model. And because you're here, then you need to understand that you must be looking into these different companies where you're purchasing things from and making sure that you know what's in them. I chose doTERRA because it was important to me that I could go online and I could look up and see exactly what is in each and every bottle of essential oil. That might not be important to you, and that's okay too. But for me, it was very gratifying to be able to see that, and I feel very safe knowing that I can go on and I can see with full transparency exactly what is in my essential oil that I'm putting on my babies, that I'm putting in my body, that I'm sharing with my husband and my family members every day. There's also over 100 different published studies on Copaiba essential oil and its impact on the endocannabinoid system. You can look at APRC, that's aromaticplantresearch.org, and they have tons of different articles and studies and clinical trials up there for you to peruse at will on Copaiba and a bunch of other things as well. Okay, so let's chat briefly about some Copaiba uses. So Copaiba is kind of jack of all trades. If you've been following me here for a while, you know that frankincense is my personal favorite oil. I use it every single day in 1,000,001 ways. It's my desert island oil. However, if I couldn't take frankincense, Copaiba would be my next best. And I just have like a really deep emotional connection to frankincense, so that's probably why. Copaiba is also half the cost of frankincense essential oil, so it's a really great one to get started with because it's super versatile and really inexpensive. So one of my favorite ways to use Copaiba is actually internal. You can take it internally under the tongue, which is what I do every day for just like general inflammatory response support. You could also take it in a veggie cap if you've got really great when taken internally for sore muscles or just kind of achy joints. Maybe you're like me and when it gets cold, you start to just feel a little creaky. Hashtag this is 32, or you worked out too hard and you need a little bit more response or a little bit more support for that inflammation in your body as well, that would work. Also really great for digestive support. So it really helps to soothe the digestive system. Really awesome for liver support. So if you are really aware that you need to be working with your liver and maybe you're already making sure that you're getting in your celery juice and you're eating all the green things, I would take frankincense and lemongrass and Copaiba together internally in a veggie capsule at least once a day, and then get your liver levels checked with your physician to kind of track and see your progress. If you're really struggling with inflammation or pain, I would take that with turmeric. doTERRA actually has a brand new turmeric dual chamber supplement that just came out with the turmeric oil plus the actual supplement together, which is really awesome. More on that later. But that with Copaiba together would be super great for pain. Aromatically, I love popping Copaiba in my diffuser. If you're feeling stressed out, I recommend pairing it with florals or resins. So you want to think of like Copaiba and geranium or Copaiba and lavender. Also the resins, so like Copaiba and myrrh, Copaiba and sandalwood would be really yummy together as well. If you're needing a mood lift, always pair it with the citrus. So Copaiba and lime is one of my husband's favorite little duos. You could add wild orange to it, even the citrus bliss blend if you wanted to. Respiratory support is another great one for aromatic use, and I would combine that with any of the firs and also always eucalyptus, because just when in doubt, eucalyptus, right? So like a Douglas fir, eucalyptus, Copaiba, that just sounds good. I would actually make a really good like a respiratory support balm as well with some shea butter, some coconut butter to apply to the chest when you're feeling kind of croupy and icky. Topically, we can use Copaiba as well. I like to use Copaiba for skin concerns. It's actually in my facial serum that I apply every single day. Super easy to make. You can pop on over to my YouTube channel or check out any of my social media platforms to get that recipe. Really good for sore muscles. You might want to combine it with Deep Blue, which is our muscle support blend. You could just apply it wherever it's achy and sore, add a little drop of Copaiba and really help to drive that essential oil in deeper. Also over the liver for endocrine support or any of the other areas that any of the other organs that you might want to be really working on. So maybe it's your kidneys. I would just dilute Copaiba and rub it over the kidneys a couple times a day. When in doubt, if you don't know where to put your Copaiba, stick it on the soles of your feet. That's a really great way to get it into your body without running the risk of any skin sensitivity. You can also just take a drop in the palm of your hand. Ooh, this bottle's almost empty. Rub your palms together and breathe it in. You just used Copaiba for yourself topically, aromatically. And if you really wanted to, you could even put it on your hand and lick it off and take it internally that way too. Kind of has like a nutty flavor. It's not too intense, which is nice. Okay, so here are some fun facts about Copaiba from doTERRA anyway. Our Copaiba essential oil is sourced from the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. Something that I love about doTERRA is they choose to source all of their essential oils from where the plants grow indigenously, which is really cool. So you know that you're getting an essential oil from a plant that has been grown in its most ideal environment. So it has the best yield in terms of like its chemical profile, which is really cool. We have an ethical, sustainable sourcing model. So doTERRA doesn't own their farms. Instead, they choose to partner directly with the growers, many of whom have been in the business for generations. And it kind of cuts out the middleman so that the farmers are getting paid a fair wage. And then also doTERRA can ensure exclusivity with 98% of their essential oils. So no other companies have the same chemical profiles that our essential oils do, which is really neat. And it just kind of ends up being a really beautiful supply chain. Our Copaiba is a blend of 4 different types of Copaiba trees. So it's a very diverse and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Deep, I guess, has like a wide breadth of different chemical compounds in 1 drop of Copaiba essential oil, which is really cool. Copaiba trees can actually grow to be over 100 feet tall. And this might sound really hippie to you, but I really love knowing facts like that about the plants where my essential oils come from, because I tend to look at them as indicators of what the oil is going to be able to do for me. So if I think of a tree that can grow to be over 100 feet tall, I know that that oil is going to provide some sense of grounding to me, right? Trees are very grounded. They're tall. They live forever. Their roots they have like a crazy root system, versus something like a floral oil, like lavender, is going to be a little bit more fanciful, right? A little bit more hormone support, a little bit more emotional help, right? So I love just kind of knowing some of those fun factoids. Also, it takes 0.06 pounds to make a 115 milliliter bottle of Copaiba essential oil, which is just kind of fun. And Copaiba contains 98.6% sesquiterpene. That's a big fancy word for chemical constituent that you need in your body, okay? And you can do some more Googling on that too if you would like. That's 99.86% sesquiterpene. It looks like it didn't make it onto my presentation slide here. All right, so as I'm wrapping this up, I wanted to let you know that you actually have an opportunity to snag Copaiba essential oil as well as the Copaiba soft gel from doTERRA for free this month, along with another exclusive oil, yellow mandarin, which I am waiting. It should be arriving today. I'm super excited. The soft gel is basically just that. It's a little tiny gel cap with about 3 drops of Copaiba essential oil in there. The reason why they make it that way is it's super convenient for you to take internally, especially if you need some extra help with pain or inflammation. And then you can also snag it in the oil bottle as well. So in order to do that, all you need to do is place a 200 PV order between now and the end of the month. If you are brand new to essential oils, this is like an awesome time. It's always a great time to get started with oils. But when we have a promotion going on like this, my favorite little beginner kit, which is how most of my customers get started, will qualify you for this promo. So you can get the top 10 oils plus a diffuser plus 2 bonus oils and Copaiba soft gels for free, which is a really awesome deal. So if you are wanting to kind of take this step and look at how you can integrate essential oils into your wellness routine or begin a wellness routine and start with essential oils, and you find that I resonate with you and you would like some of my coaching and you want me to be your oil fairy guru, I'm more than happy to help you. So just drop a comment below or you can send me a DM and we'll get you going. We'll set up a little complimentary wellness consult and talk about your health goals and make sure that we align together. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I apologize for my technical difficulties yesterday, but we did it and you have the information. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this on the Facebook page and then record it and pop it over into YouTube for your access later in the future. I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. I'm going to try to enjoy the sun even though it's cold, and we'll chat soon. Bye, everyone.